And of course, always a shout out to our tech wizards who keep us up and running. And tonight we thank Dan Lieber and Don Abrams for being here. So as we were thinking about this service tonight, it was hard to sort of imagine, like the beginnings always feel so joyful and so celebratory for Shabbat. And this is also a time of great anguish, continues to be a time of great anguish and unease. And for me tonight, it even makes it more meaningful that we are here gathered together, that those who are here could find that energy to get out of your warm, cozy homes, to come to this warm, cozy home. And this ability that we have at the end of each week to celebrate another week together. This opportunity to breathe together, to pray, to sing, to reflect. This is precious time to feel the joy of one another's company. And it is something that I do not take for granted, even after my whole adult life really being in community. It is such a gift to share our lives together, to know that we are not alone, and to just feel these, as Larry Kushner wrote, these invisible lines of connection, just looking around this sanctuary and feeling it from my heart to yours and from your hearts to each other's hearts and to you online, directly to you. So I was thinking about Shabbat and how amazing it is that in our mystical tradition, in our mystical literature, we find these discussions about a second soul, a neshama yetera, that comes to us on Shabbat, a second soul that comes to us every Shabbat. This is one of the reasons that we smell the spices at the end of Shabbat for Havdalah, because we're trying to revive our primary soul about the absence of this second soul that we're about to say goodbye to. And I was thinking tonight how wonderful it is that we have this opportunity to lean into Shabbat, to lean into tradition, to lean into each other, and to think about how full our tradition is of this extraness, of this extra spirit that we so need. I think in these days especially, in the prayer Vishamru, there's a line, Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, which comes from the book of Exodus. And it says, on the seventh day, God shavat, rested. It's the word that comes from the same root as Shabbat. And God yinafash, breathed or expanded. And in Hebrew, the word yinafash is made of the word nefesh, which is one of the words for soul. So this verse can be read as, on the seventh day, God Shabbated or Sabbathed and put some extra soul in it, breathed some extra soul in it. We become resouled. So this Shabbat feels like a good time to pay attention to that second soul. Because for many of us, I know, our primary souls are maybe a little weary, a little worried, perhaps exhausted or confused, upset and angry, and maybe more than a little afraid. This extra soul, this extra Shabbat soul is with us whether or not we notice it. It is a gift that comes to us. And what I hope as I look at it all out at all of your faces is that maybe it's possible to tune in extra special to that second soul tonight and wonder how might the windows of our hearts be opened, how might our hearts be softened, and with the eyes of that new soul, what might we see that has previously been hidden from us this week? And of course, this is a Shabbat of firsts because we are also entering into the book of Exodus. And that book of Exodus, the second book of the Torah, is full of new ways of seeing, these transformational ways of seeing. We begin with Moses' mother, who sees that she has to release her baby boy, to Pharaoh's daughter, who sees him floating down the river and saves him, to Moses, who sees the suffering of his people, to God, who finally sees the Israelites suffering in slavery and sets the events of the Exodus in motion. And finally, years later, Moses sees a bush on fire, but sees also that it is not being consumed. And it is there that he is told he will lead the Israelites to freedom. And I believe that this is a time that it is hard for us to see clearly. In the sanctuary here on Wednesday afternoon, one of the sixth graders was struggling for a vision while we were writing peace prayers. She said, "I just can't see it." And that resonated so strongly and so sadly with me, because it is hard to see the way forward right now. It is so hard to see what is happening in Gaza and in Israel and in our own country, and to believe that there is a possibility for redemption and transformation. So tonight, as we prepare to light our Shabbat candles, I hope that we can keep alive together our hope and our belief in the possibility of transformation, because where our attention goes, our energy flows. There is still so much good in our world. There are still so many people working together to build a brighter, a more just and peaceful future. And we have to keep seeing them. So tonight, may we be led by the glow of our Shabbat flames. And there are 2 sets of candlesticks out for that second soul. May we be led by the fresh spirits of those visiting second souls. And may we be spiritually fortified by our foundational story that redemption and transformation are possible, even when our vision is cloudy. Tonight, it is more than enough to allow Shabbat to change us. And I want to ask anyone who would like to, Ellie, I'm hoping you will be one of those people, and maybe somebody else who feels that they'd like to come up and light the way for us with our Shabbat candle lighting. Sophia, I'm wondering if you what we're going to do is we're just going to, you can find this blessing at the top of page 1. You can just, if you want to, you can just dip this candle right in. Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlek ner shel Shabbat shalom, everyone. And because this is the first Shabbat of 2024, let us join in Shehechianu at the bottom of page 2. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu lehigianu lazman hazeh. Let me just ask you, what do you need for your mind, your body, your spirit right now to get that extra spaciousness, to get that extra breath, to loosen a little bit? Just take that time to get more comfortable, to release what you can release. We will turn together to greet that presence of Shabbat with Lecha Dodi, something we do not do alone. Together with friends, we welcome this presence of Shabbat. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad hishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad v'shemo tiferet v'litila lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem mesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. We're just going to pause here for a moment. Verse 5, I love this verse so much. Wake up, for your light has come. Rise and shine. Get up, utter a song. Hit oreri, kiva oreh, kumi ori, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai, alayich nigla, lecha dodi likra kala. Shabbat mekabel. And very intentionally, we rise, we face the doorway, we face our Zoom friends, and we say, come on, Shabbat Queen, we are ready for you. We have made space in our hearts. Bo'i v'shalom ateret balad, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Bo'i kala, lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. I want to invite you to find a melody or a note or a phrase or a word that opens your heart tonight, that causes a little transformation in how you walked in and how you might want to bring this Shabbat in with you for these next 25 hours. That line, get up, utter a song, spoke to me so clearly tonight. And it would be so fun at the Oneg if you have a line, a word, a phrase, a turn of melody that speaks to you that maybe we could share at the Oneg tonight. And we turn to page 15, remaining standing for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah B'almad yivarach chirutei ve'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon u'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, ve'immeru, amen. Yehesh meraba mevarach, le'alam ul'almei almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, ve'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'ale v'yithalal shemei dekudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Da'amiran ba'alma ve'immeru, amen. Remaining standing in body or in spirit, I turn to page 16, Baruchu, dear one. Calling on the light of our souls. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. Interpretation of the words of Ve'ahavta by Rabbi Yael Levi. Listen as you wrestle with life. Listen as you feel into your relationship with all being. Listen into the oneness of all that is. And love Love with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. Place love upon your hearts. Teach love to your children. Speak from love in your home and as you walk on your way. Take love with you as you lie down and as you rise up. Love this image. Carry love in your hands. Place love before your eyes and inscribe love upon your gates. Listen deeply into the calls for connection. Love and serve the unfolding of all life with all your heart and your soul. Be aware of your relationship with earth and all beings. Serve what is true. Place words upon your heart, upon your soul, in your hands and before your eyes that will help you remember to act for the well-being of earth, to act for the benefit of all life, to act as to leave a bountiful and gracious land for all those who will call you ancestor. On page 21, we turn to the words of Micha Mocha, our song of redemption, with the prayer that this Shabbat brings us from narrowness into spaciousness. And tonight we'll do the setting that some of us may have grown up with, might be resonant from, I think, especially conservative upbringings and conservative shuls, and I hope you'll join in with me. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar ba'kodesh, Nora tehilot osefeh, Malchutecha ra'uvanecha bokeh yam lifnei Moshe, ze Eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, ve'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, uge'alo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai, Gav Yisrael. For the Amidah, just one stanza of the English reading on page 22. Last stanza. Watch over me as a parent peers on a sleeping child. Be the presence I feel, soft, sheltering, strong, cradling me to safety. Your canopy over me, under me, surrounding all who dwell on this fragile planet, sheltering us with peace. We turn to the words of the Amidah on page 25. As always, this is a time for communal blessing. We'll do the first 3 blessings together, and then open up into a time of silence and reflection, a time for your own relationship, for your own thoughts, the words of your heart. There are windows to inhabit if you'd like to look out into the dark. And when you are ready, truly take your time tonight. You can be seated. You may rise in body or in spirit. Adonai sefhatai tivtach ufia tehilatecha. Adonai sefhatai tivtach ufia Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula livnei v'nehem, Leman Shemo be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol Atah Rav lehoshia. Mechalkel Chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha Baal Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umasmiach Yeshua, Ve'ne'eman Atah l'hachayot hakol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelu chasela. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. right-hand side of page 28. Enable us to find rest on Shabbat. Renew us and inspire us to act with an open heart, with honesty and truth. Let all generations cherish this gift of Shabbat, a sign of your eternal love. Praise to you, the one creating sacred moments. And in this time of the Amidah, we have been saying the prayer for hostages, for the release of hostages. And we have been doing this for the 91 days, I believe, since October 7th. This prayer that we've been reciting every week is known as Achenu, which can be translated as our family. And this is a prayer that appeared first in an 11th century prayer book, which was authored by one of the students of Rashi, who is a famous medieval French biblical commentator. And that means that we as a community have been praying for the release of captives for hundreds of years. At the beginning of this unbearable 92nd day, we pray together for their freedom, holding all of them in our hearts. And in particular tonight, I am thinking of that baby whose first birthday occurred this week. We read together. Our family, the whole house of Israel, who are in distress or in captivity, who stand either in the sea or on dry land, may the Omnipresent have mercy on them and take them out from trouble to blessing and from darkness to light and from oppression to redemption, now, swiftly, and soon. Emphasizing the now. Turn to page 130. Our Misha Berach, prayer of healing. May the one whose blessings are many heal and bless us, and all who live in the shadow of illness, whether of body or of spirit. May comfort and courage abound. May we find wholeness within and strength from our community. Let us shine the soft light of human kindness into dark places as we pray for the healing of our loved ones. As a community, we are praying for the healing of Ruth Rubens, Laura Bell, Barbara Kevorkian, continued healing for Bonnie Diamond, Bill Pollack, Gerald Mondell, for Tom Lemons, Irene Brown, continued healing prayers for Liliana Walheim Martinez, for Peter Feynman, Pat Urich, for Frank, Andy A., and Joyce, for Lorene Huckle, Annie Graham and her family, for Nikki Reed, Angie Silver, Sarah Kianowski, for Ayelet Galbat, Chava Verher Shmuel, for Stanley Roth, Debbie Gilman, Neil Daniels Midman, for Anya Kabel, Sue Boardman, and for Kathy Naff. And if there are names you would like to bring into the sanctuary or into the chat function online, please raise your hand. Thank you. all of these have been named, all those who we are carrying in our hearts, for all those who are suffering in body and in spirit, in Israel and in Gaza and Ukraine, all over the world where there is strife and violence. Let us join our voices together in these words of healing. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imoteinu mekor habracha leavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Turn to page 31 at the bottom of the page. May the one who makes peace in the cosmos, in the universe, help us to make peace here for all who dwell on this earth. Oh, say shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. I invite you to close your prayer books as we invite Rabbi Cari into our sanctuary with us.
Can you see me?
Yep, we can see
I'm
you.
up. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I heard you. I heard you. It was so good to hear you. It is so good to be with you. It is so good to be one of the many who is blessed by the technology that enables us to be together even when we can't be together. And it is so good not to give you this cold that I am dealing with because you don't want it. So thank you for allowing me to join you in this way to celebrate Shabbat with you. It all changed so quickly, from the hope for stability with an apparent claim to a land to call their own, to a sense of hopelessness so deep that it led a mother to risk her child's life because she had lost sight of the future. I'm speaking of the opening chapter of the book of Exodus, which, as Beth mentioned, we begin reading this week. It begins with the sentence, "These are the names of those who went down to Egypt." They went down, of course, in hope of salvation. They went down in search of food. They were granted that food and so much more. And then just one chapter, 22 short verses later, Moses, who's unnamed at the time, is conceived, born, hidden, and brought into Pharaoh's house and raised as a prince. It's a story where hope becomes instability and instability becomes hope in a cycle that seems to repeat itself and, if anything, speed up. But I want to talk about that last switch tonight, the switch from the hopelessness of a mother placing her child in a basket in the river to the hope that follows. And I want to ask what makes it possible. Well, Beth named some of those who made it possible as she opened our services tonight. There were Shifra and Pua, the midwives, the Egyptian midwives who saved the lives of Israelite babies who had been sentenced to death, who lied to the powers that be in order to save them and kept them alive for another day. There was the mother who saw in her child, as every mother sees in the birth of their child, we hope, a light, a possibility as yet unexperienced in this world. There was the sister of that baby, who we later learn is Miriam, but not yet, not this week, not the early chapters, who kept an eye on her brother, keeping him safe and devising a plan for his continued safety. And there was Bat Pharaoh. There was the daughter of Pharaoh, who looked at this child and said, well, this must be one of those Israelite babies, and offered him refuge anyway. And it made me wonder, as I was reading this tale, where are our Shifras? Where are our Puas? Where are the mothers and the sisters and the daughters of Pharaoh who are working together to build from the darkness a chance for the light to shine again? Because Beth's final words to us at the end of 2023 compelled me to reassess my habits. I had to ask myself, had I created a balance that was sustainable, that built upon itself and that powered me forward to a world ahead. I thought I had done so. I kept 2 tabs open on my news sources, a conservative news feed and a liberal news feed, so that I could understand both sides of the equation. I had developed a habit of not checking either of those news feeds after I came home from work. That was good for my sleep, which I also thought was an important self-care routine. So overall, I would have said I had gotten a B plus, maybe, I thought. But then Beth, in the final days of 2023, challenged us to listen to the peacemakers. And I thought, I'm not sure they're on any of my tabs. Neither my reading of Haaretz nor the Times of Israel offered anything that felt like I could hold it up for hope. And so I started doing a little homework over the holidays. And I found myself recently on a 501 nonprofit's homepage called Interact. Interact is a educational opportunity or agency whose vision statement reads that their goal is to generate critical understanding and deep empathy among war-torn parties in conflict and in the general public that might lead to innovative solutions and also noticeably combat the rising tide of hatred and extremism. Hope. They have 4 offerings currently. They have many offerings, but they have 4 that I'm participating in. A 4-part Zoom series that I'm inviting you to join me in. The first one was yesterday, but it's available online, so you have not missed the opportunity. It's called Meet the Peacemakers, a women's leadership series. And it concentrates on bringing you the voices of women leaders working for peace, even in the darkness of today. I listened to that first Zoom seminar yesterday, and it was rich beyond words. I couldn't do it justice if I tried to bring you that hour-long experience in my drush tonight. I got to hear from Rana Salman, the Executive Director of Combatants for Peace, and Mai Pandek, the Israeli CEO of A Land for All. They lead, both of them, organizations that recognize that the binary thinking that has characterized our history simply perpetuates war. And they came to teach that the darkness of this moment is not the same as the loss of hope for the future. They challenged us to see that from this moment, we could create a narrative that makes room for both people who have claims to the land, to all of the land, to the whole land. I wanted to say when I signed on, but it's impossible. There's no hope. But they pointed out to me that humanity and the Jews have done it before. In Jewish history, from this week's very Torah portion, when we read of the decreed death of all baby boys, and yet Moses is raised in a life that allows him to lead us to freedom, from the destruction of the temple, which becomes the birth of the rabbinic Judaism, which we are the inheritors of and adapters of today, to the fires, the consuming fires of the Shoah, from which we have built a Judaism, a modern Judaism in Israel and in America that thrive despite what seemed to be utter destruction. Over and over again, hope, if we just remember. And they pointed out it's not just Jews. In my lifetime alone, look at Northern Ireland. Look at Rwanda. There have been horrors that have not stopped the spread of peace. We have faced the darkness that was what a baby boy might have experienced had he been placed in a basket and set afloat in a Nile. And yet, we have led ourselves over and over again to freedom. So in 2024, in gratitude to Beth and her leadership and her gentle remindings, so often at the beginning of service that all of us need, I am rededicating myself to the narrative of hope, to finding the voices that fill me with the sense that through hard work, redemption is in fact possible. And I'm asking you, will you join me in searching out those voices? Will you tell me whose voices you find, who you're listening to, what's inspiring you? I'd love to hear from you and learn from them. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Yasher koach. So we will begin to conclude tonight's service, turning to Aleinu. We will use the words of Aleinu that we do for the high holidays, these reinterpreted words of learning and of shared inhabiting of this world. And I invite you to rise in body or in spirit. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula liotzer b'reshit, shehu asanu l'shomrei ha'adama, vehu samanu lishlichei ha'torah, shehu sam chayenu itam, וגור עלינו עם כל העולם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו turn to Mourner's Kaddish on page 44, remembering tonight all those who have lost their lives in acts of violence in Israel and Gaza, the Ukraine, and around the world this week. And tonight's yortzites include Jenny Einhorn, Sharon Solomon's great-grandmother, Nancy Louise Goodman, beloved mother of Zoe Tarshish. This is the first yortzeit of Lynn Brodsky's mother, Duffy Brodsky. Tonight is the yortzeit of Melvin Newman, beloved father of Bonnie Newman, and also of Dean Milks, beloved father of Bonnie's cousin who's joining us tonight, Lynn Frank. And in this year of memory, we remember Lois Lineal, Eliza Stern-Geyer, Caroline Hirschfeld, Florence Foreman. And if there are yortzeits you are observing tonight, or those who feel especially close to you, please raise your hand and add their names in the chat. Rise in body and spirit, joining our voices together, becoming a community of memory with words of Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach la'alam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh. Ve'yithadar ve'yit'aleh ve'yithalal. Shemei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Please be seated. Just a few announcements, and Andy, I'm wondering if you want to start us off with announcements tonight.
Thank you. Well, before you leave tonight, sign a couple of postcards. It takes a minute and it's going to make history. We have postcards because there are companies, there are governments out there who want to do what the companies are doing. A lot of companies are buying up data and finding out who's doing what. So some governments figure they can get data on millions of people and figure out who's been near a Planned Parenthood clinic and then prosecute people in their state who've been getting abortions that are illegal in their state. And even if, besides this issue, that there's too much data out there, and it's time to put an end to this nonsense where the insurance companies and the banks and the marketers and the political shysters are all getting our data to try to control this. So we have a bill, and this is historic because it's the first in the country. We have a bill in the Massachusetts legislature to ban the sale of location data. And stop a lot of this stuff. So Sharon Solomon is doing this on behalf of Connections, who is doing it on behalf of the Jewish Alliance for Law and Social Action, who's doing it on behalf of the ACLU of Massachusetts. I think the change stops there. So, where will we have them? Will we have them near the Oleg room? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's near the Oleg room. Please stop by and sign a couple postcards.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you, Sharon. For the last 4 years, a handful of intrepid members of our temple community have been studying a page of Talmud every single day. They are part of a larger movement of people who have taken on this challenge of Daf Yomi, a page a day. They began on January 5th, 2020, and they meet weekly. Our community members meet weekly for discussion. To get through the entire Talmud takes reading just a page a day takes 7.5 years, I believe. So we want to take this moment on this anniversary, this 4th anniversary, to congratulate our Daf Yomi members because they are now over halfway through the Talmud, and we want to acknowledge their dedication and their devotion to Jewish learning and to text study. And I know this group includes Andy Oram and Lynn Brodsky and I believe Aaron Boxer, and who am I missing? Annie LaCourte. And Ann Emmerich. We have five people in our community taking part in this worldwide endeavor. So Mazel Tov on your 4th anniversary. Woo. And speaking of text study, there will be Torah study tomorrow morning at 10:30 before the storm, in person and online. And Torah on Tap will take place online only tomorrow at 4 p.m. with Rabbi Cari. There's no learning core on Sunday morning. Sorry to disappoint you, Alec. I know you're devastated because of the upcoming storm. On Monday night, something new is beginning, something that we did all through COVID. We're beginning again our Monday night Zoom session on meditation. So at 7:30 p.m. every Monday night, starting this Monday night, January 8th, you can join Peter Feynman in meditation for about 45 minutes, give or take, and the link is in the directory. So that is ongoing starting this Monday night. Next Friday night, I just want to say, is our Interfaith Peace Shabbat. We'll be joined by members of at least 2 local churches to observe the legacy of Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and we will also be joined by our Temple Choir Shir Chadash that night. So it's 7:30 next week. Any other announcements that I am missing? We will conclude our service with Shalom Aleichem on page 49. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sechem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And many thanks again to Bill and to Caroline for this beautiful music tonight. And we'll conclude. We'll do Kiddush and Motzi upstairs. There is an oneg that awaits us downstairs. Tonight we'll do our longer Kiddush. It just feels like that kind of night. Do you feel like leading it, Sophia?
I could.
Yeah, awesome.
Do you know where it is?
Page 51. It's on page 51.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. hear your voice again, and especially meaningful that we are using the Kiddush Cup tonight in loving memory of Alan Finder, to whom Sophia's chanting and singing meant so much. And we have an absolutely gorgeous homemade challah tonight. I just have to show you, thanks to Aaron Boxer, who has made this for us. We'll take it downstairs with us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech